Hello, everyone, and welcome to Intramuros City Lab COVID-19 Paalalabas Communication Initiative. Here, we shine a spotlight on how design and data were harnessed to improve the human experience inside the historic Intramuros City. I'm Angel Guerrero, founder, president, and editor-in-chief of Adobe Magazine. It is a privilege for us to partner with the Center for International Trade, Expositions, and Missions, or CITEM, to host this roundtable discussion for creative futures. Their two-day digital conference that aims to establish a path towards the future of the country's creative economy. I'm moderating today's panel with a Q&A happening towards the end. Together, let's listen to the insights of the creative minds behind Intramuros City Lab COVID-19 Paalalabas Communication Initiative. Joining us today, we have first Attorney Guillermo Acedo, Administrator of the Intramuros Administration. Hi, Attorney. Good
Good
to see you again.
afternoon. Hi, Angel.
And then next, we have Rhea Matute. She's Executive Director of the Design Center of the Philippines. Hi, Rhea.
Hi, Angel.
Good to see you.
Same here.
Then we have Architect Royal Pineda, Co-Chairman of the Design Advisory Council, DAC. Hi, Architect. Hi, Royal.
Hi, Angel. It's good to see you again.
Yes, indeed. And then next we have Dan Matutina. He's Creative Director of the Paalalabas COVID-19 brand campaign. And he's also a Vice President of the Communication Design Association of the Philippines. Hi, Dan. How are you?
Yo, hello. I'm fine.
Hi.
Fine, Angel.
Good to see you. And then lastly, we have Christine Layoan. She's Executive Research Director and Principal Partner of Curiosity Design Research. Hi, Christine.
Hi, Angel.
Welcome. So that completes our panel. So a focus of our discussion for today is design thinking. And we will delve deep into how we can apply human-centered thinking to solve problems in a creative and innovative way. Enter Intramuros, the historic center and oldest district of Manila. It is a city that has embraced the concept of design thinking, having implemented user-centric design solutions that are responsive to the needs of its community. To talk deeper about it, we have Attorney Guillermo, Administrator of the Intramuros Administration. Attorney Guillermo, tell us about the Intramuros story.
Thank you, Angel. Well, Intramuros is basically a story of how design was actually used as not just as a tool, but actually as a framework also for solutions. So let me thank everyone first for inviting Intramuros administration to be part of this presentation. So the story of Intramuros began several years ago already as well, but a lot of perspectives have been set, a lot of narratives have been identified as well with Intramuros as a historic walled city. But when we came in 4 years ago, we decided to basically identify and set it in four pillars, as we say. So we had to identify how should we treat Intramuros as a historic place. Then we also had to go into the perspective of setting the value of Intramuros, and we went then to the critical aspect of setting the narrative for Intramuros as historic district, and from there fulfilling the mandate of telling everyone about the Intramuros story. Now, Intramuros is very unique. It has basically the World Heritage Site of San Agustin, and it has more than 400 years of history as well. So, in terms of identifying the place and how we should treat it, Intramuros has always been said to be a built heritage with San Agustin, Manila Cathedral, Fort Santiago, and the other historical monuments to speak of as well. But there are some aspects that we have lost the heritage as well of Intramuros. So we wanted to ensure that we properly set the perspective of identifying the narrative for us to be able to set the identity of the Filipino. And that basically would respond to the question of what do these places really mean to us, or more specifically, what does Intramuros really mean to the Filipino? So, having said this perspective already of how we should treat the place, we went then on to the exercise of identifying the value, the significance, and the history of Intramuros. When we speak of the value, we basically said that we wanted to set the outstanding universal value of Intramuros. And when we speak of significance, we wanted to ensure that the significance will be able to transcend national boundaries and to be able to set the common importance of Intramuros to the present and the future generations as well. In that sense, we basically said that in defining Intramuros as a place, we should see it as a symbol, as a statement, and as a story of the Filipino. So, a challenge always basically to us is how do we now define it? So, there are a lot of ways of defining it, but for us, it should not really be just a monument, but also be seen as a story of the Filipino. So, we said in terms of the narrative, we should be able to treat and remember and be able to shed light on the identity of the Philippine. And that is consistent with how, for example, Brian Ladd explored it in his book as the interconnected nature of monuments and national memory and how the structures should be seen. So, to us, we basically said that Intramuros is a reflection of the public and its collective memory, and should be seen as well, therefore, as a manifestation of how what we can do further. And to us, basically, that all of this can be seen as part of the public art, and how we can communicate the value of Intramuros to reflect the values of the Filipino as well. So we said that the challenge, therefore, is how do we now curate the mandate that's provided in law. But in doing so, we said that we should be more creative in the approach. So we said we should brand it properly, identifying the mandate, the past, and the present, and from there on move as well to setting the policies. Now, in doing this, we said that we should be more creative and with international best practices as well. So the focus then shifted to the conservation management policies. And after that, we decided to now tell the story of the people, the place, and its past and the present of Intramuros. So we partnered with every public and private institution or agency that we can that have expressed interest in Intramuros. So we partnered with the Design Center of the Philippines, we partnered with embassies, we partnered with the public, and but basically one aspect that or one common thread that you will see is that we basically opened up Intramuros, and we said that for those who wanted to partner with Intramuros, they should treat it as a canvas, and it's an open canvas where people can work collectively to set the identity of the Filipino. So one particular aspect that we've partnered with is the Paalalabas, which we can discuss later as well. But basically, we wanted to ensure that given the current public health situation, we can create the nudge in terms of reminding people as well. So that is basically what we did in terms of the history and the story of Intramuros. But let me highlight the following points. Basically, that in setting the value of Intramuros, we wanted to ensure the significance and values of the Filipino as well. And that, having said that, we should set the perspective and from there create already the story of Intramuros that we'll be able to design the tales of the past, the present, and the future.
The work that you do for the benefit of Intramuros and our people as well, and the Filipinos that visit there. Your efforts to tell the story of the people and the place, both past and present, remind us that design can play a crucial role in keeping our collective memory as Filipinos alive. And we're truly privileged to have been able to use your city, Intramuros City, as our city lab for the Paalalabas campaign. You know, a unique COVID-19 communication initiative that just launched a month ago. Now let's turn over to Architect Royal. He's co-chairman of the Design Advisory Council, and he can share with us what was the inspiration behind the initiative and the idea behind the brief. Do tell us, Architect Royal, what triggered you to initiate this campaign?
Well, it's always been a challenge, for me to find design and to be able to express design, how powerful it is, and how actually practical it is, no. Because I always believe that design is around us and it's always with us. So this is really triggered by the heart. No, this is about the Filipinos' love for its fellow Filipinos, the family, and the fact that we have this um, strong feeling of malasakit, and that our loved ones are so precious to all of us. And this really came to a point wherein we were thinking, how can we bring design and how can we respond right away to this present situation of the pandemic. And again, as I always say, that there's a new brief, no? There's a new factor that's needed to be resolved, which is the virus. And I think it became a new way and also an opportunity to innovate for us Filipinos who are very creative to come up with a practical solution. And again, with a very simple and a genius design created by the team, Dan there. For me, it was really perfect. This is a perfect nudge. This is a perfect paalala at pagmamahal ng mga Pilipino sa kapwa natin Pilipino. And I think it's very, very, I would say, true to its essence and to its purpose. That Paalalabas can be an expression of our love to our fellow people and fellow Filipinos. So again, design-wise, the whole team, I believe, is we were all inspired by our hearts as Filipinos.
Thank you so much, Architect Royal. You had mentioned that at the heart of the process for Paalalabas was design thinking and human-centered design, how this campaign can make a difference in the lives of our countrymen during this pandemic, especially the most vulnerable. Now it's time to talk to Dan Matutina. He's the guy behind the campaign, the creative. He's Vice President of Communication Design Association of the Philippines. And, we both worked with each other for a long time on CDAP. And let's see how he created and ideated the campaign, the process he took, and how Dan and his team, he didn't work alone. He had a team of very talented people, how they came up with the message and the accompanying visual language that we know that Filipinos can easily relate to. So as creative director behind the design identity of Paalalabas, Dan, can you walk us through the campaign?
Hello, I'm Dan Matutina. I'm a designer. I run a design studio, and I'm also the vice president of CDAP. When we were invited by Royal and Ray Amatute to create a campaign for that was related to the pandemic, we immediately said yes. I think the challenge was trying to come up with a team to work on the project. So as usual, I tried to talk to my friends, my other designer friends, creative friends, to work on this project with me. So if I remember it right, the initial pitch we did was in June 22, 2020. So parang it's a year ago. That was a long time ago. And when we started conceptualizing, I really wanted to work with João Bautista because he was my partner a long time ago in advertising, and I really like how he writes things, very relatable to people. And so we brainstormed about this project, and then we came up with this yung notch theory. João was reading the book. I had a discussion with another behavioral scientist about this theory related to science and design, and then Thaler said a choice architect has the responsibility for organizing the context in which people make decisions. So we thought what we thought of using a specific context where we are currently in a time of pandemic. What single-minded message can we say to nudge Filipinos toward making the right choice on health and safety? So that was the the trigger for the idea. And like what I said earlier, I really wanted to work with Jao. So he was the guy I worked with to name the nudge. He's a copywriter, nakatawa. He's single. And we were talking about this via Messenger lang. So because it was a pandemic, I only, coordinated with people through Messenger and various other, apps and technology. And this was our initial pitch, actually. The line that we wanted to use was lumabas responsibly. And we said, this is our paalalabas, tamang paalala sa tamang paglalabas. It is freedom laced with responsibility for your family, your community, your kapwa. Critical but compassionate. That's kindness to others and kindness to yourself. And when we presented this to Design Advisors Council, to Royal, and to Rhea, they were just okay with the line of lumabas responsibly, but they really liked the line paalalabas. And later on, I'll explain why we thought lumabas responsibly was the line that we wanted to, because we thought na parang it was easier to understand, and paalalabas was sort of a mouthful. And we're glad that Royal and Rhea and the other members of the team pushed for paalalabas. We thought na it was just a coined word that was fun to use. So this was our line: lumabas responsibly, magmask, magdistancing, magtulungan. A reminder of the right things and making people care for those things together. This was our initial pitch. The color orange is retained. It was just a different shade of it. And then the typeface that we used was very compact, very strong, super masculine nga eh. And then all the other graphics were there. And then the icon of the guy going exiting the room is also there, but without the mask and face shield. So that was a few of the changes that we implemented. So these were the initial mock-ups that we did for the project. So most of the elements are there, but we changed the line from lumabas responsibly to paalalabas. And so with that, because the center of the whole campaign was the coin term, which is paalalabas, I talked to Aaron Amar, a type designer, to work on this project with us. So I was, like same with Chao. I just talked to him and then said, Aaron, are you game to write the typeface? Because I had the style of the type in mind, because the first one that you saw, sobrang strong siya, and I thought it might look too, mas super warning in the thing. So Aaron said yes. So I coordinated with Aaron via Slack. And then the idea was to complement the nudging spirit behind Paalalabas. We created a typeface that reflects the ideas non-alarmist gesture, inspired by bold and condensed typefaces. The soft edged corners convey the nature of gentle reminder. So we also wanted to connect it to like Filipino hand signage, but also a very hardworking type. So Aaron was able to develop this, and like what I said, we mostly coordinated online. So if you look at the letter forms and the glyphs, you can see that it works in narrow spaces, but it's very friendly and approachable, and there's a lot of curves in it. And you can see that from this, lockup of lumabas responsibly, we were trying to implement na yung paalalabas type in this particular situation. So we developed two typefaces: Paalalas display condensed and displayed wide. It's a custom typeface that people can use and download, and it's something that we thought was very important, me personally, for the campaign. Para there's an ownable typeface that we can use, and there's a whole glyphs of the type. And lastly, ito yung connection from the first why we thought lumabas responsibly was the line that we wanted to use more than paalalabas, is because, to be honest, I was really very worried that people won't catch it, or people won't remember what it is. So I was really pushing for Sina Birdie and Christine, yung mga researchers from Curiosity, to test the campaign. And we created actually different permutations of it, na yung paalalabas, paalala sa paglabas, paalala sa paglabas, paalalabas. And then we even broke down yung paalalabas. And kasi I was super worried that people won't, it won't be catchy enough for people, or people will have a hard time, responding to it. And we're just so lucky, I guess, when we tested it, people actually liked it. So sort of, yung mga worries namin were nawala sa isip namin. So that was the whole process of the thinking and the conceptualizing. And I'll share us an animation about the campaign and the different blocks of it.
Thank you, Dan, for taking us through the ideation process of the Paalalabas campaign. It's catchy, it's visually arresting. At the same time, I can imagine appeals to the Filipinos' penchant for creativity. You coined a new word for us. And, especially during these difficult times, we are visual creatures. We like mnemonic. So thank you for showing us how the word was crafted, and then creating the custom type, choosing the colors, as well as the iconography. It's a fantastic campaign, and good that you mentioned that it was an outcome of what you call the Bayanihan spirit, where you work together with collaborators like Jao Bautista, who's your copywriter, and Aaron Amar, who did your custom typeface. It's really wonderful stuff. And then moving forward, here is Rhea. Now, Rhea is, as you know, is Executive Director of Design Center. She's actually at the helm of the whole project together with Royal. And she wanted to ensure that design thinking always remained at the heart of it. So, Rhea, now that you've seen the campaign from Dan and you saw it through, what was the process like, and how do you want to implement the creatives for this campaign?
So yeah, so it's been this whole the whole process of ideation, testing, and the iteration is really again part of the whole design process, and making sure at the same time that we're remaining true to why we're doing the campaign, and it's really to help people navigate the world with the pandemic around us. So so I'd like to just circle back to the creative intent of the initiative, and it's like at that point it's really about like with the borders opening up, and then lockdowns easing, and then again business being restarted. So how do we communicate this campaign to the public, and then like how these liberating scenarios would more or less would people forget the habits that they formed, and then but how do we remind them, and how do we make sure that they act responsibly, because if not, then the results could be catastrophic. And then again, I mean, looking back at that time, I mean, and looking back at this time, I mean, we have really gone beyond the point of warning people, and it's really just about reminding them. And I think that's also within the psyche of the Filipinos. They don't really like being told what to do, but they kind of want to be reminded gently. And then that basically gave the character of Paalalabas. And then now that we know, like now that we've learned these new habits, how do we just offer the gentle reminder of acting responsibly? So as Dan mentioned, so it's all about nudging Filipinos in the right direction. And so therefore, again, so it's again freedom laced with responsibility for your family, for your community, for your kapwa. It's critical but compassionate, and the kindness to others and the kindness to yourself. The minute that when Dan presented Paalalabas, it was just instant. I mean, like we all fell in love with the word, and it really just moved us. I was thinking to myself, if I can say Paalalabas, everyone can say Paalalabas. I mean, like, it was a challenge for me in the beginning. I had to be very, very mindful of how it's spelled. When I closed my eyes, I had to see how it's spelled so that I can remember how to say it. But then now, I mean, it just flows naturally, only because it's really that catchy, the word, and it just rolls out of your tongue. So how would the Paalalabas look? No? Again, after all the testing, all the ideation, the iteration of Paalalabas. So as Dan mentioned, Paalalabas is really inspired by the book of Richard Taylor about like about behavioral economics, and then and the elements behind it, like the color, as well as using familiar words and symbols. So this is the final look of, well, one of the final lockups of Paalalabas. The exclamation point, the caution tape of the virus, the iconic symbol of the virus. Again, as a reminder that the virus is around us, and to be cautious. And this development of the communication from the previous lockup of just on the white background, but this one with the virus around, as well as using the face shield. So yeah, so the whole campaign is really about like being very casual, and again, it's very much about how it's about Filipino character, and being able to communicate to as big an audience as possible through the use of familiar terms, even just the pace, the rhymes within the campaign, the alliterations, as well as the repetitions. So this is basically part of the kit that we developed alongside with Dan and the team, as well as the design center team, using again all the creative assets available to us that was prepared by Dan and applied by the design center creative team. And this is the full set of the Paalalabas kit that we gave to our community leaders. This is also the kit that we were sending out to the local government units to convince them to use Paalalabas. So from the shirts to the bags to stickers, not just stickers for the businesses, but as well as stickers for the car. They get a mask, they get a face shield, and then they get posters that they can post in, their businesses, or if they want to post it outside their houses. The genius again of the campaign is really, to provide it to whoever is interested to use the campaign. It was really Dan who really also pushed us that that it be available with Canva, and we're really very happy that we were able to develop this partnership with Canva as the repository of the creative assets of Paalalabas. This is the website that of Paalalabas, and for people to just visit and download the Paalalabas assets for free, only because really the intention of the campaign is really to provide public access to Paalalabas, and to really use that as as our dedication to magmask, magdistancing, and magtulungan.
Thank you so much, Rhea. The applications of the Paalalabas message, the design across platforms to increase visibility, plus the versatility of that campaign is impressive. And thank goodness it's already available for everyone to download. As Rhea said, it's public access. So I hope, it's rolling off your tongues right now when you say Paalalabas, and when you see the designs, you'll want to put it everywhere, where you can remind people. So the rollout of this campaign, we know, is timely as we venture out a little bit amidst the easing of the lockdowns to revive the economy and transition to the next phase of life in the pandemic. A reminder, a nudge to act responsibly. Thank you so much for that, Rhea. Very I mean, it's great stuff. And congratulations, Dan, as well. But, we talked about, and Dan was right, we talked about validating the campaign. So yes, we were a bit, unsure if this campaign was going to work. We developed the campaign. We presented it to certain groups, but there's nothing like the hard numbers and research just to validate and give us more confidence. Now let's have Christine. She's the Executive Research Director and Principal Partner of Curiosity Design Research. To validate the campaign, she conducted research across Metro Manila, Davao, Cebu, and Baguio. So Christine, can you share us some of the research findings on this campaign?
All right. Thank you, Angel. Let me just share my screen. Okay. So again, thank you, Angel. And hello, everyone. I am here to present to you the campaign's materials evaluation research that Curiosity has conducted for Paalalabas. So late last year, the CDAP and the Design Center of the Philippines came up with a communication campaign called Paalalabas. Now, our research team was tapped to test these initial concepts with our target audience. Specifically, we wanted to find out how does the target audience respond to the communication concepts of Paalalabas in terms of messaging comprehension, relevance, appeal, uniqueness, memorability, and perceived effectiveness in nudging individuals to adopt a more responsible behavior in public spaces. We conducted 6 focus group discussions, or FGDs, across the nation in key cities, including Metro Manila, Cebu, Davao, and Baguio, to get the feedback of both Tagalog and non-Tagalog representatives. Now, we wanted to make sure that regional nuances are adequately covered to ensure that Paalalabas can potentially have a nationwide appeal. Now, our research participants consist of males and females 25 to 45 years old, belonging to the middle and lower income segment, and they represent various workforce sectors. Now, here are the insights from the FGDs. Let's start with the Filipinos' attitude towards health and safety protocols. More than a year since the pandemic started, some have actually admitted that they have begun relaxing protocols for various reasons. Some protocols have become less strictly implemented as the people's confidence grows when their area's protocols have relaxed or have been downgraded. Now, wearing PPEs may feel uncomfortable. In fact, some even tag it as hassle. And as such, some of them only use this PPEs if there's a chance that they will get caught and penalized. Some, including us, go out to meet up with friends and relatives to better cope with the stresses of the pandemic, while some still believe that COVID data is inaccurate and bloated only to induce fear. Now, the research participants admitted that the government and private institutions do not seem to be lacking in their reminders. Some of them have seen government agencies such as DOH and DOT come up with their own COVID-19 campaigns. Their LGUs have also used several ways to communicate many different reminders, from posters, tarpaulins, roving audio announcements, and even printed shirts worn by government employees. Now, even private institutions also have their own signs to prompt them to adhere to safety protocols, while public transport vehicles also have signs that bar people from riding if they are without face masks. However, some have said that they seem to have become desensitized to all these reminders, and this is where a new campaign materials may be helpful. These are the insights from the FGDs on campaign materials evaluation. Now, before I go into the detail, let me just share with you the framework that we have used to gauge the effectiveness of Paalalabas campaign. So we considered 5 elements: comprehension, relevance, appeal, uniqueness, and memorability. A campaign must rate highly among these 5 elements to increase its stickiness factor. Stickiness is defined as how much an idea stays around in our culture and commands our attention despite the incursions of new messages. So, a sticky message is said to be contagious and has a lasting impact. And this is what we aspire for Paalalabas. In terms of comprehension, the key message of the campaign was easy to understand. The respondent said that the campaign aims to reinforce the need to continuously observe health and safety protocols against COVID 19. It is seen as a stern yet needed reminder or warning that the threat of the virus is still present despite relaxing community quarantine restrictions. One respondent from Baguio said that every now and then, kailangang may magpapaalala kasi maraming nakakalimot. Sinasabi na mag-iingat pa rin kapag lumalabas dahil hindi pa tayo COVID-free. The Paalalabas will also perceived as a tool to encourage those who play down the possibility of getting infected to observe health protocols more rigorously. Now, it was so easy for the participants to figure out that Paalalabas equates to paalala sa paglabas. One participant from Metro Manila said that these are actually root words na pinagsama, paalala at paglabas, para mas madaling maalala. We were also happy to note that Paalalabas was easily understood across different age groups and socioeconomic profiles. The campaign was also seen as highly relevant for areas where people are becoming less mindful in following safety protocols. Magmask, magdistancing, magtulungan. Magdistancing is seen as a relevant reminder since this is among the safety protocols that most of us forget. Magmask is also critical as other people seem to forget to wear their mask or do not wear it properly. Magtulungan for the research participants meant either helping one another beat the virus or helping the government by following safety protocols. One respondent from Manila said, tayo-tayo ring mga Pilipino ang magtutulungan. Maging disiplinado tayo para sa ikabubuti ng lahat. Habang tumitigas ang ulo ng mga Pilipino, lalong tumatagal ang pandemya. Okay na po yung mag-sacrifice kesa naman tumagal ng tumagal. The campaign was also generally seen as both witty and novel. The cleverly coined word paalalabas incites curiosity and generates interest. The campaign also appears to differentiate itself due to its tone. Most actually felt that it was unique because of its authoritative yet caring tone, which provided a fresh take on the usual reminders and safety protocols. One said that okay na yung may reminder sa atin kung nakakalimot tayo. Nagbibigay siya ng babala, pero may pag-aalala. Now, there are so many distinct visual elements that make the campaign easy to remember. The exclamation point and triangular border clearly communicate caution and the urgency of its message, while the dot used for the exclamation point clearly connects the campaign to coronavirus. This image of a human figure also depicts the danger of going out unprotected in a COVID-filled outside world and reinforces the need to continuously adhere to health and safety protocols. One respondent said, yung puti nasa loob ng bahay. So hindi prone sa virus. Kapag lumabas, naging black. Ibig sabihin, mas prone siya sa virus. Kaya nandun yung paalala. The color use also caught people's attention as they make the sign stand out from similar materials that they usually see. A participant from the above said that orange talaga is for caution. Matingkad sa mata, makikita mo agad. Kapag makita mo, maiisip mo na dapat itong pagtuunan ng pansin. The font also feels somewhat serious, commanding attention and action. Dahil big letters lahat, maiisip mo na importante siya. To sum up, Paalalabas campaign rated highly, that's 8 to 9 out of 10 in each of the 5 key elements discussed, suggesting that Paalalabas possesses the stickiness factor. Research participants showed a high level of interest in Paalalabas because of its weight, novelty, and uniqueness attributed to its authoritative yet caring tone in delivering a relevant message. A combination of visuals, such as its ingenious iconography, the distinct font, and remarkable colors, also makes the campaign truly memorable. Now, it's quite interesting to note that the research participants expect to see these materials both on online and offline platforms, and they even suggested that this material should be made available to the public so they themselves can make personal copies which can be used at home. And consistent with the principles of design thinking, where an optimal design can be achieved through iteration, we recommended conducting a pilot in an LGU in NCR to see how the campaign will fare before rolling out in other areas outside Metro Manila. And that wraps up my presentation and our research to support Paalalabas campaign. We hope that you were able to appreciate the due diligence exercised by the proponents of Paalalabas to ensure that the voice of our target audience is heard and considered in this campaign. Thank you very much, and we are rooting for the successful implementation of Paalalabas.
Well, thank you, Christine. These results really gave us the confidence to launch. And thanks to the high scores it achieved on relevance, uniqueness, and memorability. And what makes it difference is, you mentioned that, people are getting desensitized with the existing message. I like the fact that it was deemed witty and novel. And, we're really excited to have it out to the wider part of the country. And yes, I know they wanted to get the campaign right away. I mean, this research was done before Canva already uploaded the assets. So, hey, validation is there. They loved it. We're ready to roll. So what did we do? Let's go to the exciting part of this session, another exciting part, the proof of concept, how the campaign is actually being implemented on ground.
So we rolled out the campaign in Intramuros by reaching out to the various communities that were present within the city. And those were the pedicab drivers, the carinderia owners, and the small business owners, which we saw were the ones who were deeply affected, especially during the pandemic.
Walang pandemya, normal lang lahat, nakakabiyahe kami ng maayos, walang restriction, walang gaanong rules eh. Pero ngayon, malaki yung pinagbago niya. Gaya ng dati, makakapagsakay ka ng 3 passenger, 2 passenger. Ngayon, allowed lang 1 eh. Kaya mahirap, malaki yung bawas sa kita namin.
Marami po. Hindi po kagaya po noon na talagang marami ang nailuluto namin. Ngayon po, alalay lang. Yung ina-expect po namin na kaya namin ipaubos.
Design has always been important. But then, it makes it even more important and relevant, especially these times, because right now, with the givens, the new equation in every design requirement is the virus. I believe it's even more critical because there is an economic situation, there is recession, there is an issue of design being challenged with cost. This design solution should be very practical. Practical luxury can address these issues of addressing how do we fix the problem through design, playing together with all the efforts that's being done by the government and everybody.
We want to create a memorable, design-centric communications that's aimed, with the core belief that good design is powerful in shaping behavior and, of course, change. our team, our goal would not happen if we didn't have these people who believed in it. There was validation. It was so positive, from creative development, from research to implementation, plus very importantly, public access to the assets. It's for everyone to use. The power of strong and good visual communications is essential in the effort we're making with Paalalabas.
Thought of a name that would encapsulate paalala and a reminder when you go out. So when we actually designed it, we wanted it to be unique, using a custom typeface. That's also very Filipino. We also complemented it with iconography that would remind people that there's still a pandemic outside.
We are at that point where people are already relaxing a bit in terms of adhering to health and safety protocols. And based on our research also, there's also a perception that because the vaccine is already available, people are safer now. I think we just need to continuously remind everyone that unless we really achieve that herd immunity, we still need to follow the basics, wear mask, mag-distancing, at magtulungan. Magtulungan really refers to doing your part as a Filipino in helping curb this pandemic.
The Paalalabas campaign is really for me, a very important initiative of Design Center as well as the Design Advisory Council to at least help our countrymen navigate through these very troubling times of the health crisis as well as the economic crisis. And we hope that through our campaign, we will be able to trigger a change in behavior, and therefore a change in behavior will lead to lesser cases happening in the community. And when there are lesser cases happening in the community, then slowly economic activity can come back.
Since March of last year, the pandemic has substantially and adversely impacted the lives of the people here who are depending on the visitors who are coming in every day to us. While we are rolling out the vaccines and while people are getting vaccinated, we should be reminded of the fact that there are still some protocols that we need to properly observe, and the best way to do that is through this nudge of the Paalalabas.
Paalala din po sa mga customer, kasi ito nga po ay tourist spot.
Malaking maitutulong. At least hindi ko na kailangan at makikita na rin nila na kailangan natin mag-ingat. Kailangan distancing, official, face mask.
Once na makita nila yung mga sign ng Paalalabas, maaalala ka agad nila eh. Gaya nga ng may kasabihan nga tayo, ang gamot sa nakakalimot ay paalala.
Well, thank you very much, everyone who got involved in the video. It shows that the implementation of the campaign actually touched a lot of people already who are on ground in Intramuros. So, Rhea and Attorney Gillier were behind the rollout of putting the Paalalabas campaign elements in Intramuros City, the pilot city for Paalalabas. And you've identified some hotspots in the area. So, Rhea, could you take us through how you were able to apply this campaign in Intramuros?
Okay. So like when we finalized the campaign, the creative assets, we were thinking, like as the research showed, to launch it in an area where we can test how, on a bigger scale, how the community will react to the Paalalabas, no? The objective is to see how the community would react to the campaign, as well as taking into consideration all the real world issues and concerns of the city navigating the streets while the pandemic is still pretty much around us. And it's really like, one of the challenges that was posed as well by Gillier and his team is Intramuros is such a tourist, is one of the tourist destinations, major tourist destinations of the Philippines, and not just a tourist destination, but it's also where there is a residential community that is in within the walled city, as well as there is that working the working population that also rely on on the city on a daily basis. And how would we balance all these different concerns, as well as the different population that is using Intramuros? He initially identified key areas within Intramuros where the Paalalabas campaign could be rolled out, and we could implement it. These are areas where people would most likely forget because of the activities that they were undertaking, as well as where are these areas that could really have that timely reminder so that the pandemic would be more controlled, or the spread of the pandemic would be more controlled. Plaza Roma is definitely an area where communities would more or less gather, not out of the need to break the restrictions, but it's just really a high traffic area of Intramuros. And right beside the Plaza Roma is a parking lot, which also serves as this is where a lot of the carinderias have also moved into this parking lot of Intramuros. And once when, of course, being a carinderia, when you have to eat, you have to put your mask down. When you gather Filipinos together and then, over food and over drinks, there is an increased level of energy. And with increased level of energy, then you kind of tend to forget. So definitely the carinderia was a major hotspot that we needed to make sure that the Paalalabas campaign is very much visible. Another carinderia area within or like at the perimeter of Intramuros is the one in front of the immigration office. And then the last target area is the walls of the fire station. Again, it is in a major, the visibility of the fire station is very high. And this is where a lot of not just the pedestrian traffic, but as well as the vehicular traffic is, situated within the walled city. And we thought that these walls of the fire station would also serve as a very visible reminder for the Paalalabas campaign to be implemented. As well as, of course, the pedicabs and the e-tricycles that is plowing the routes of Intramuros, only because as public transportation, there will be areas that you cannot help but be close to one another. And therefore, we thought that these are also essential. They need to have these reminders of the Paalalabas. So how it was implemented was basically, after an ocular visit and trying to find out, how people moved around the space. Then we determined how and the kinds of signages that we needed to put in the area. So we have freestanding signages, and this is how they look when we started to implement this, and when we rolled it out together with the design center team and the volunteers. We relied heavily on the volunteers of Intramuros as well as the community influencers. We thought that these community influencers as well as the volunteers would also serve as basically, our on-the-ground nudge unit. They are going to be our champions to remind the community, again, of the message of Paalalabas. And this is the team as they were rolling out the Paalalabas assets, as well as we had a briefing session with the carinderia owners as well as the pedicab and e-tricycle drivers, again to brief them as well as to share with them the objectives of why the Paalalabas Nudge unit from Design Center was there, as well as together with their volunteers and community leaders to further explain the campaign. The fire station, it's still a work in progress. We've been able to get the approval from the National Historical Commission for the use of the walls, because the fire station is a historical building, but because of the importance of the Paalalabas campaign, as well as the important objective of controlling the spread of the virus, we were given the approval both at the main at the main wall, as well as the one along General Luna Street, going to the Fort Santiago area. So there you go, as far as the rollout is concerned. And yeah, I mean, it's really the kind of relationship that we've been very, we've been very grateful to have with the Intramuros administration.
Well, thank you very much for that, Rhea. I mean, it's wonderful to see a campaign of such great significance to help the Filipinos act responsibly. And thank you, Attorney Gallier, for allowing Intramuros to be the pilot for this campaign. Do you have any insights you want to share to add on to what Rhea has already said?
Thank you, Angel. Thank you again, Rhea, and Design Advisory Council for all of the support, and for choosing Intramuros to be the laboratory. I think what is unique about the campaign was also the fact that there was the community's involvement in terms of the campaign itself. So they felt part of the process. They actually took ownership as well of the campaign itself. So, with that, I think we will be able to ensure the sustainability of not just the message, but also the objective itself. It's a gentle reminder, but again, the value lies in the fact that the people themselves who are really on the ground now really felt that they are part of the process itself. And that is one advocacy that we have always um, relied on, that people in the community should really be part of the process in terms of the messaging, and in terms of ensuring that they take ownership of whatever campaign that we'll be developing.
Thank you very much. I think that's how it works. You know, you get it down to the people, they take it on and they embrace it and they apply it. And let's hope that all the cities in the Philippines take it on. And, this is an opportunity. You've heard how strong this campaign is. And we have proof that it does work. It's been validated. Now you can see that it can actually be applied in an actual space. And hopefully it picks up and a positive virus, I'd say, for design and for the message that we have. It's been such a privilege to discuss the country's first COVID-19 Paalalabas initiative, which we know has already been at its early stage embraced by Filipinos. So through Paalalabas, we celebrate the same things we see in Creative Futures: design, collaboration, and community. With that, we hope that this Paalalabas will be embraced by more people and permeate society in establishments and in cities around the country. Indeed, this is our Paalalabas. Magmas, magdistancing, magtulungan. Thank you to our inspired presenters, Intramuros' Attorney Gallier, Design Advisory Council's Architect Royal Pineda, Design Center's Rhea Matute, CDAP's Dan Matutina, and Research Director Christine Layawan. And thank you to our viewers for watching. It's really been a pleasure for me to be a part of this campaign, as well as moderate this session for Create Philippines. Stay on. Now join us for a Q&A by clicking on Sessions in the Creative Futures left side menu. See you there.